I like to start very basic. I checked once more text where it's coming from. And in fact, it's the Latin word texere. And this word means in German, weben, flechten, in English, to weave, to braid. And there we already see it's quite different ways how to connect threads. If I'm weaving, like this is this crossing, or braiding like these tails here. I think it gives us already a hint when we speak about how to use threads, words, how to make texture of our text. Weben in German, it's weaving. It's in fact the web. It's immediately, we are in the 21st century. The web as the texture of our communicative existence. I will come to this one later, but keep it in the bag. If I'm now starting with the text, what do I mean? Words. Whose words? Author's words. We all know, and we always already discussed it several times. If I'm using the text of Ophelia, to whom belongs this text? Is it the text of Shakespeare, Ophelia, myself, or has even the text himself an own life? So do we have probably 4 interests at one moment? Now we can say the text is the text is the text. As long as it is not spoken by me, the text is fiction. It's just between the book covers sitting there. But still, in itself, it has an enormous power because the text itself is surviving me, is perhaps much older, much more powerful, has, let's say, how can I say, the power of beauty, the power of rhythm, the power of sense, everything which is absolutely stronger than I am as an interpreter. But still, without me, this text only exists hidden. Only through me, the text arrives to a new meaning when I'm working with it. So we have this very, very interesting interrelationship, of course, of interpretation of text, working with text, and it can become, as I said, a power game. And now I was referring to the text, let's say Shakespeare. In fact, it's more or less the same with the text what I'm producing if I'm working in the devised theater. Very often we have this very, very close relationship. I'm speaking right now, I'm producing text. It's not an artistic text. It's text, it's very authentic, what is now the magic word very often in the devised theater. But for me, and I put it already to the big question mark for the discussion later, authentic text, well, how can I play with it? How can I work with it? It's perhaps so close to me that I have absolutely no chance to work as an artist with the words and the meaning which I'm producing in this moment. It's like this. I prefer, in fact, the open relationship, the distance, the game, the joy, the fun, the fight again. I'm coming back to this fight. Not in the way of negative fight or destruction. And we have this discussion. Just before we started, we already discussed between us, and Dimitris will come back to it, that people discuss how to respect text or not respect. I think respect always important, for sure. But perhaps we can respect the text most if we help him to, let's say, deconstruct himself. If the text is so beautiful and so perfect and so icon, no one has the chance to get into it. Somehow sense is hidden. So text probably asks me, please destroy me in order to unfold the hidden beauty and the hidden sense. Especially old texts, which are constantly changing sense. So probably it is this, I am helping the text if I'm deconstructing, destroying, in the good meaning. Perhaps the text says, please open my secret. Please open my subtext. And I think today it is common practice that we are going away from the very logic way, that we are creating the unlogic way, the new combinations, open the meaning in a more free way and not in the linear structure. It's a new possibility. I'm now jumping because time is running like crazy, but I want to make one point, jumping now to our web. The modern web is text. I'm coming back to this idea of weaving. We are having a text, probably as texture. Let's keep it like the World Wide Web. Everywhere is a link, like text. I can now go from one link, opening one link after another on the very horizontal way. I will go crazy. I'm in the jungle. I don't know anymore where I'm going. If I look above, it's immediately a strange position. Under, from the left, from the right, east, west. If I'm going really into the web, I can say it's spherical. I'm inside. It's multidimensional. I'm entering probably the 3 or 4 dimensional space to communicate with text, with meaning, linking each other, and trying to open completely new relationship to this, let's say, phantom or this entity, what we call text. So I am become interwoven in the text, again, web, or put it active, I am interweaving with the text. And this is what I call, and this is my subject of research, towards the hypertext acting. Now I'll leave you in this moment with this image of the, let's say, complete confusion, getting lost in the web, but perhaps this is a new freedom and a new possibility, new idea for acting. Pause.
I grab Christina's mentioned the notion of play, and that it somehow doesn't make any question of us, that it is linked very closely to the notion of distance with the text. But I would like to start actually from the text itself, from the text, you know, in so many ways it can be understood today in contemporary theater practice. But I'm speaking about the text as the literature, as written text, as the something that can exist on the paper and something that exists in the theater production creative process, you know, in any period before the premiere. In general, to figure out the relationship between theater and text, I think is extremely interesting and very natural for theater practitioners, because it is somehow interwoven into our DNA as a theater, as a form of art. Because, you know, majority of theater history is in fact not the history of stage practices, it's the history of dramaturgy. Well, and a little bit maybe also the history of evolution of stage construction, but still up until beginning of 20th century, we all know that theater is put in a very, very unenviable position of absolutely secondary role towards the text, and it takes appearance of the figure of the director. It takes theater the hard work of claiming its independency from from the traditions, from the conventions of the big styles, be it classicism or whatever. It takes theater to invite and to put in the top of the creative angle the artistic individuality, to redefine and reshape its relationship towards the text and the literature as a source. And somehow with the development, with the evolution of theater forms in the 20th century, I think because the previous history of relationship with the text is so oppressive and so long, the development of relationship with the text is so rapid in 20th century and so different, so so multi possible, that we in some way can see the development of theater of 20th century also as a development of these theaters as a meta entities relationship with the text towards the independence, towards the freedom, and towards new creative collaboration with the written text, spoken text, and unspoken text on the stage. And in this imaginable line of development, one theater model in particular that I find extremely interesting is the ludic theater model created, developed, described by a great Russian pedagogue and teacher, and teacher of Yuri Alshitz as well, Mikhail Butkevich. So the philosophical and aesthetical somehow profile of this ludic theater proposition is based heavily on the notion of distance with the text, on play and game, on non-conventional theater forms, on even archaic folk theater forms. And what is interesting about it, that all this summary of approaches in a context of Russian theater tradition of psychological school in theater is usually put somewhere in an opposite corner, and is called in the best case scenario formalistic, or in the worst case scenario just a blasphemy towards the principles of psychological truth. But what I find extremely interesting of this model is that it manages to unite, Butkevich being himself the student of Knebel, unite the best there is to propose of both these oppositions, the school and tradition of understanding psychology, of the school of art of interpretation and art of director's analysis, and the notion of distance with text, the notion of play specifically. So somehow novelty of Butkevich's school is not laying in the in the looking for other sources for theater other than literature, because he works all his life with the great classic dramaturgy, Shakespearean particularly. But his novelty is in this redefining and reshaping the nature of theater creator, who is now inviting this text into his everyday theater practice with this completely new point of view. It is a little bit difficult because in English doesn't exist so many links to this theater philosophy that I'm speaking about. So I'm using ludic theater as something that makes for all of us understandable that it's somehow connected to the game theory, but I don't think it's the way how Butkiewicz would put it. And if I can try to use my my own bridges between Russian and English, I think it's very crucial for understanding the core, the aesthetical and philosophical core of a playful theater. I think Butkiewicz would put it playful theater. Is very interesting. Again, it's quite a linguistical game, but it is what it is. In Russian, there is only one word which can be translated in English in 3 different ways, and I'm quite sure you can refer to your native languages also. So Russian word "igra", from which the playful theater, игровой театр, comes, in English means at the same time acting, as the process of what actor is doing on the stage. At the same time, it refers to a play as a specific human activity and a specific state of your mind and the specific nature in which human involved in the play is. And it's also can be translated into English as a game. And I know exists different points of view in the game theory, but here I'm meaning game as something that has rules and structure that is very, very strongly defined by its own space and time in order to create specific reality, specific playful situation, limited by the frames of game. It is important because all of these aspects are present in the playful theater and in the nature of the actor in playful theater. And it is visible, recognizable in the first place on the level of his relationship with the text of his role. So here are semantically 2 fields of influence in what is that actor is doing with his role. When we say play, from one point of view, it comes, of course, from notion of the field of acting, of performing, and from the other side, it is sense of a play. It is the idea of a playful position. It is the idea of a special, psychophysical organization during the play. So based on this, on balance between these 2, powers in relationship between actor and his text, we can speak about at least 3 different acting positions in actor's relationship to the text of his role. First, and again, there are intricacy in Russian language that there almost no difference, but it is huge difference. So it's quite beautiful that it's also a play, at least just for a speculation and speaking about it. But it's also practically quite different, and I'm quite sure you will recognize it as well from your practices. So first, we're speaking about playing the role. Actors plays the role, and it's obviously is linked to the traditional understanding of theater school, to psychological school, psychological optics towards the creation of the role, which has to deal at all times with this dialectic of actor being his own object of manipulation, being his own tool. So somehow the result, which is this character on the stage, it is always the combination, it is always the unity between artist and the role, but it is one and only one kind of unit. There can be the spectrum of working in this direction can be so different, depending also on application of system of Stanislavski, depending on other theater tradition. But somehow we understand that this is the acting position of becoming someone else, be it, you know, representational tools, being the tools of other psychophysical mechanisms. This is the first position. And the second position is playing with the role. Playing with the role, meaning playing with the role as with a toy, as with something that is physically put outside of me, that not only put outside of me, but is given into my hands. So it is open for my manipulations with it. It's open to all sorts of creative operations that I want to do with it. From the metaphor of puppeteer, I think it becomes especially visible. This position gives actor a possibility to become an author, not that it doesn't give it otherwise, but author who is creator, who is owner of the situation, who is the owner of the initiative in the playing situation. And there is a similarity, but there is also a difference with the third way of looking at it. The third playing position is when the actor is playing with the role like with a partner. With a real partner. It's not anymore a relationship where the situation of initiative is very clear. It's not anymore the, you know, object-subject relationship, but the subject-subject relationship, and they are partially dependent on the agreement to the very important, but although it's not very everyday life logic proposition, that the text of the role or the role that is represented through this text is the independent existing unity of energy, of idea, of sense, existing independently of my interpretation. So my work with it has to come from the position of the creative dialogue, from the position of collaboration. So here the balance of power is very, very, very intricate. And one can see that with every next stage in this metaphorical distance between actor and text, somehow this distance becomes longer and longer with every next step, but it absolutely doesn't mean that the one of these acting positions is less than the other, or one is more important than the other. I think it just shows the whole range of possibilities of this relation between actor and text, all inside the playful structure somehow. Because I want to underline that this position is not some sort of technique only, that through, you know, how the text is written, or through the composition of the scene, or through how the particular piece is staged, that is just some sort of technique that can be applied on any professional actor. I think foremost this idea of a new optics towards text, of this new creative freedom that it creates, it's first of all, it's a position, is a worldview, is some aesthetical and philosophical proposition that actor has to agree to for this, let's say, miracle to happen of multi-layer realities, where actors' personality is present at the same time, where the some sort of role with its own energy and story narrative is present at the same time. So the playful position has a lot of treasures to propose, and one of those, it's not that it's only acting technique, but that is also the way to educate and the way to nurture actor in its profession. So this I find it very, very valuable. So I advocate strongly for this type of creative worldview. Yeah.
Thank you, Olga. Thank you, Christina. Thank you all for being here. I would like to approach our topic of today from the angle of the ritual and the ritual text and the ritual speech, and see what could be perhaps in these characteristics of ritual speech could be for us important and useful in the work with theatrical text. First of all, I would like to share an observation of nowadays. Theaters now in Greece are open again with a 30% possibility of the audience to arrive. Still, people are not going, and it's not just because of the fear of the COVID. Speaking with some friends, people feel why to go to theater now? How theater can speak to me nowadays? And this is a problem. I mean, we understand that theater has become too much entertainment, perhaps, that it had lost its efficacy. It had lost its power to transform, really to change, to be important for our lives as mechanism of transformation. And of course, the way we approach text, the way we approach speech has a lot to do with it. What I mean, and I'm coming to my theme about ritual. Ritual speech always tries to be efficacious, always tries to accomplish something. It's not just information, it's not just sharing of some idea, but really try to pass more than a knowledge, which it tries to pass a knowledge, it tries to pass a message. But at the same time, the importance of the ritual speech is not exactly in the words of the text. It's the ritual speech is like telling us that it's a hidden message above, we can say, the words, hidden behind the words. The words are a tool, another tool of the ritual for the transformation of a situation. I'm always trying to share with my actors and students these characteristics, because to me it doesn't make sense really to go on stage and reproduce our habitual relation with the text and with the speech. I mean, we all know that the ritual text, the ritual speech, always is different from the ordinary. It's different from the everyday. It doesn't at all tries to imitate everyday speaking. The opposite. It's trying to defamiliarize us from everyday, from our relation with our languages, to make us strangers with our own language, and in this way to renew our relation with our language, with the words, and to make us familiar with the unknown, with what we don't know. It's quite often obscure. The ritual languages are not the everyday languages, or could be very poetic languages. They're not clear. They don't refer to what we know, to what we understand logically. It's the words quite often are used like instruments, let's say, to open another space. It's as Andrei Belly says, the poet and symbolist, in his wonderful and very inspiring essay, The Magic of Words. The words are spells. We are trying to get familiar with what is a thread around us. Somehow the birth of the language was a reaction to, according to his theory, and not only his theory, to try to control what is uncontrolled. So of course I understand people, or we know from our experience to theater that the actors, they don't have this kind of relation with the words. They don't have this kind of relation with the text coming, of course, from the directors quite often. So to me, it's quite important always, of course, to work with texts that already they have these principles, but even with texts that from the first glance they don't seem ritualistic texts. I try to see what could be in this text, how can I say, possibility of a transformation. First of all, of a transformation of the individual that pronounces this text. I mean, I'm always saying to my actors, why you speak if you don't change yourself by speaking? So, I mean, usually, I mean, with the ordinary or everyday life, of course, we can change, expressing our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts. We can all feel connected with the person we are speaking, or the audience we are speaking. But still, the possibilities we have from, let's say, a ritualistic approach of text are much more, are many more. To me, while I did my research and one performance about the prophets, the prophetic speech, and the ecstatic phenomenon, it was very interesting in some cases that all the prophets started with the phrase, "The Spirit says." It's not my text. It's clear, although they are, let's say, already in an ecstatic situation, they started their speech with this phrase, "The Spirit says." It's not me. At the same time, it's not my text. It's clear. I make it clear. It's not my text. At the same time, this text has a big effect on me. I mean, to the prophets, and it's leading to this, let's say, ecstatic condition, leading or being a necessity in order to produce really alive text, which doesn't have a precise authority, doesn't have a signature. It's not the author's text, we can say. It's the, I don't know, the text of the inspiration. I mean, the masterpieces of theater, of literature, we can say that, you know, they're always more than the person who wrote it. So yes, and final note, to me quite interesting to think about. Quite often in the ritual speech, what is important is the sounds, the music patterns, the exhales, more important than the, let's say, the words themselves. Which generally, somehow, or quite often in theater, we see that we want to hide these elements in the name of harmony or in the name of some beauty, very careful, organized. But I think that we cut through this way all the informations that connect us with the text. So yes, just to conclude, and then we will be very glad to have your thoughts, your ideas from your experience about our topic. Before the text, I think, is the word. It's and to me, it's always important with different exercises how to relate, how to recreate the word, each word, with my actors. How to open this and see how the sound of the word is connected with the meaning or not, to see to observe the humor of the language, because by opening, deconstructing the word, or observing the sound of the word, of course we can see how, the phenomenon of life inside these sounds, these symbols, but we can also observe lots of humor as well. So these thoughts, just for you know, some sharing some approach from the ritual, which hopefully could be useful for us. And then Christine.
Yeah. It's back to me to make the loop back. Thank you, my dear colleagues. We purposely wanted to propose you 3 completely, let's say, different aspects, seemingly completely different angles as impulses. I just want to put in our common memory a wonderful phrase what Olga before said. She said, the text is inviting the actor as creator. I think this is really a quite beautiful key phrase which can unite however you approach it, and through whatever channel. Is it the ludic approach connected with distance? Is it what I propose, somehow going into the hypertext and hyperspace of communication in the very, let's say, abstract fields? Is it the ritual or the ritualistic approach, ritualization? I like very much this when you talked about, Dimitris, the spirit says. Absolutely, that we can say it's something else talking, and we have the freedom to communicate with text as text. Now, we would love to listen to you, mainly to focus our discussion a little bit, because I assume everyone got a lot of associations, but from your personal artistic practice, that you can say, how do I relate, let's say, with this phenomenon that the text is inviting the actor as creator? That means how you are communicating which strategies you have communicating with the text as actor or then as director with your actors or with your students. So this, I think, could be very interesting if you add to our collection the strategies how to communicate with this interesting personality called the text. Let's be quite open. You can raise your hands, but also we are not so many, especially if we see each other, it's easy. Just unmute yourself or wait that I tell you, but I think we can make easy communication. Whoever likes to start. Pavlos, yes, please unmute yourself. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Christina. Thank you all for a wonderful opportunity to discuss salient things, salient issues pertaining to theater and not only theater. Olga mentioned the playful way of Russian language, the way Russian language deals with acting, play, and game. Let me add to this by introducing the Greek language in two respects, with reference to text. You know, the Greek word translating text is not the woven or what is the result of weaving, but it is placing, and what is placed before someone. Something placing something before someone. And it's also in the middle or passive voice is placing yourself. Hence, the word we use to translate text is not the fabric, but kymeno. Kymeno meaning is the same root that we use for subject and object. So this is important from one point of view because it implies the existence of a ruling subject and its corresponding object in relation to the text, however the text is produced or reproduced. The second observation, linguistic again, refers to what Dimitri beautifully said about ritual, and also Olga and you. And this has to do with the Greek word for acting and the Greek word for the act. Whether it is used in secular circumstances, referring, for instance, to theater, or to more sacred concerning rituals. In the case of ritual or ceremony, then you have ritual acting, ritual ceremonial acting. In other cases, you have stage acting, or however it is expressed. In all these cases, we use the word dro and dromeno and drama, which means to act. So once again, the idea of playful doing, acting, and also becoming the object of the play refers you back to the subject and object of doing what he or she is doing. Therefore, it seems to me that the juxtaposition between theater, play or game, ritual, invites a further discussion referring to the recognition of subject and object, however they are recognized and defined, with the purpose of transcendence of the subject and object. Therefore, theater, play, ritual through text, but also self-awareness. Self-awareness referring to the subject and object, the subjective and objective realities that are created and recreated through the text, however the text is perceived. So this would be my first guttural response to the beautiful things I heard. Thank you.
May I provoke you, Pavlos? So if we have, you said, I like it, this subject-object at the same time as text. We
Yes.
have the actor being very often is subject and object at the same time.
Yes.
So how we can deal with this if now actor and text, who is subject and who is object?
The thing is, the subjective and objective reality through the actor and what he or she is doing corresponds to a certain state of consciousness. Now, the actor, what he or she can do, and they cannot do anything more than that, is to enact their state of consciousness on stage. They cannot go beyond the achieved state of consciousness. So, by observing on the performance of awareness on or off stage, one may come closer to the self-realizing reality. That is, who am I in relation to what I am doing? What is either the spirit who speaks or me, the mediator or the medium through which the spirit speaks. So it's a matter of recognizing, feeling the state of consciousness through which an actor is operating, either as an acting personality or as a creating reality.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's already wonderful, inspiring, and please don't be shy, and also very practical observations from your work with text, your relationship with text.
I can fast while people are thinking, maybe I can propose one anecdote. I think it's very, very practical. There's this anecdote that exists in theatrology about one event in Comédie Française of 19th century. So we're speaking director's theater, epoca, and so on. They were in the end of the performance, based on some very Christomatic drama, the last scene where the male and female are present on the stage. She is, according to the sujet, dead, and his last replica of the stage is more or less, we were fighting and I killed her. And that's it. And for some reason, actor forgets the phrase and the scene doesn't find its ending. And this is a very, very harmful pause being created on the stage. So the actress representing a dead one sits up on her bed and says, we were fighting and he killed me, and comes back to becoming dead. And of course, the effect was extremely comic and destructive towards all the power that actors were using to create the illusion. But at the same time, for me, is a very important example of celebration of a free will of an actor becoming present and proposing his declaration to his rights to break this conditioning of this fiction of pseudo authority of the text to create a new fiction of his own of presence of his own conscious and his own personality on the stage. I find it's very, very, very beautiful anecdote from 19th century, which is still very, very gives a lot of thought for the acting presence of today. Sorry, just remember.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. So nice to see you all. My name is Tomas. I live in Sweden and I work as an actor and director sometimes. And just to, it's wonderful to hear these marvelous thoughts about text and everything. And I'm glad to be here. I was in Berlin with Christine and Yuri a few years ago, and we were trying to get a sense of time on space, and it's glad to see you, Christine, again. Just a few reflections about this, and actor as a creator, that's a wonderful theme to wrap yourself around. And for me, the text is a kind of a way to get a connection with the author, and maybe get some of the common themes that the author has maybe thought about or tried to express in a way, and maybe I can find some of those abstract and concrete themes. And then at a certain point, as my professor at the theater acting school in Stockholm said, Mr. Keve Hjelm, he said, you can use the text as a map, but at some point, you have to get lost in the woods. And that is a kind of way for me to relate to the text, that I can find these themes, and then at some point, I have to drop it and just get lost in the woods, in the text. And you, Christine, you were talking about this, that at some point you have to recreate all of the words and everything. And that's where the point, I think, the creator as an actor gets to arts and crafts in a way. You get back and the text can be used very practical. And you can use all this that you presenting here, ways of relating to this, but I can only do it when at some point I got lost in the themes, words, and text. And then, as Dimitri presents so beautiful, there are some practical things to work with. That's, for example, you work with sound instead of the syllables or words. And in that way, for me, I come back from another point, come back to the text or come back to the map in a way. So that's beautiful to hear. And I have worked with Mirka Jamitsakis for a couple of years, and she was teaching me a lot about this, and God bless her soul. She was very important to me. And to hear you, Dimitri, gives me back memories, and I get really anxious to take back those knowledges again. And this is beautiful. So that's just a short reflection on this, and I'm going to continue to listen, and I'm very glad to be here with you today. So thank you for now.
So now I think we got already a lot of impulses, and this was, I think, and I thank you very much, incredible beginning. And it's clear that if you get a lot of thoughts, it's probably not immediately the right moment to express again the own ones, but it was a beginning. And I would like, and when I see now at the circle who is here on the, let's say, in our common room, I would be very, very glad if this is a starting point to continue, because we plan really to make this a think tank, really the talk. Now we gave in a lot of input. We want to come back and invite you back in 2 weeks. So we will do it once more on the next Saturday. Perhaps then we have to discuss, the day might change, because of course there are different possibilities of the time of the day, being global, inviting also people from Asia or from Latin America or from Americas. morning, night, which day, it's plus and minus. We will discuss. Of course, we will always inform you, but for sure, the next Saturday. And we keep the theme secret for now, but very soon we will announce it via Facebook and via our communication and on the page. And you already know now a little bit how it's going. Perhaps it will go differently. I mean, from the format point of view, preparing, sharing, bringing in, so that this kind of meeting can be a regular meeting simply to keep our brains alive, to keep our artistic thoughts and our spirits alive. And I can tell you, just only looking at you and having all the memories about the people, the faces, the names, what we have been doing together artistically, it already gives me energy, at least until the next Saturday. So to meet you again. And I thank you very much to Olga, to Dimitris. Next week, probably our colleague Riccardo Palmieri will be with us. He tries to organize artistic life in Italy. You can imagine how this is going. And for now, I just say very much thank you. And perhaps Dimitris, Olga, you want to say thank you yourself. I don't have to speak for you. And wish you a wonderful, inspirative weekend, and of course, all the best for your plans, however and whatever you can realize in these days.
All the best to everybody. Stay strong, stay inspired, creative. Just to say, it's not next Saturday, Christina. It's
yes, in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Yes, yes. We make a rhythm 2 weeks. Otherwise, it's I think, too much. And yes, it's November 14. Put it in your calendar immediately.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you all, and keep in contact, It's now very easy. Ciao, 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 ciao.